Good morning. This is day 2 of geometry, and we're going to be looking today at polygons and sides, the number of sides for shapes, and the number of angles for those shapes. So I want you to be following along with me on page 838 in your math textbook. So you can pause me right now to go ahead and get that, but I'm going to go ahead and get started. So on page 838, we have the word polygons at the top. And that is a very strange word. All that is a type of shape. And the type of shape that it is called a closed shape. And it's formed by 3 or more line segments. So that means if you have a shape that has 2 lines, which you won't hardly, it's not a polygon. So most shapes are considered polygons, and they meet at their endpoints. So if you look at this one that I drew, it has 6 sides, so that's a polygon. And when I say that the shape is closed, it means all the endpoints are connected. They meet. I X'd this shape out because, do you see this space? They don't meet. The endpoints don't connect, so that would not be a polygon. Even though it has more than 3 sides, it's not a polygon because the shapes or the endpoints don't meet, okay? So that's just a good way to remember what that is. Now, you can classify polygons using one or more of the following attributes. An attribute is just a fancy word for characteristic. We talk about characteristics and traits of our characters when we read stories. It's the same thing. The shapes that we have in math have characteristics. They have certain things about them that make them what they are. So the 2 things we're going to look at today are the number of sides that a shape has. That's the first characteristic or attribute. And then we're going to look at the number of angles. That's the second characteristic or attribute of a shape. So go ahead right now. Let's look at the example 1 under Math in My World. And you should be following along, so I'm just going to read it to you. Example 1 says, look at the soccer ball. The blue shape outlined in white is a polygon. Now stop for a second and remind yourself why that's a polygon. Well, I see 3 or more sides. This one actually has 5. A pentagon always has 5 sides. Pent means 5. And those sides connect and they meet. So a pentagon is a polygon with 5 sides and 5 angles. And I'll go into this more in just a moment. The blue shape outlined in white has 5 sides and 5 angles. So it is a pentagon. The example 2 says the road sign shown is a polygon. So look at the stop sign. The stop sign has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sides, and it has 8 angles. So the road sign has 8 sides and 8 angles, so it's an octagon. Octo means 8. Now what I want you to do is turn over to the next page let me see, I'm losing my place here. You should see a chart that looks like this. Now, I didn't make the whole chart. I only made some of it. I only made the first 3. But some of you may be saying, I get where you see the sides, but what do you mean by the angles? Well, I'll show you. So the first shape on your chart is a triangle, and it has 3 sides and 3 angles. Well, here are the sides, 1, 2, 3, right? You see that, right? Well, the angles are a little different. Here's an angle, those 2, and here's an angle formed by these 2 rays. This angle is formed by these 2, and this angle is formed by these 2. Okay, remember it's that space in between. Okay, the next shape that they have is a quadrilateral. Okay, now a quadrilateral is a shape with 4 sides. So a quadrilateral is also considered a polygon, but not all polygons are quadrilaterals, because to be a quadrilateral, you can only have 4 sides and 4 angles. Okay, we'll come back to that. So let's look at the models. Okay, a rectangle, a square, those are common quadrilaterals that you know. 1, 2, 3, 4 sides. Okay, you see that. But let's look at the angles. 1, 2, 3, 4. Those angles are formed by these corners, the 2 lines forming the corners. Okay? And then the last one is the pentagon that we already talked about in the book. And you can see how there's 5 sides. But let's look at the angles. Okay? Let me adjust you here. The angles are right here. 1, formed by this and this. 2, formed by this line and this line. 3, formed by this line and this line. 4, formed by this and this. 5, formed by this and this. It's that easy. It really is that easy. Okay? So I want you to go ahead and continue looking at that chart. The next one they have is a hexagon, because a hexagon, hex means 6, and so that's always, a hexagon is considered a hexagon because it has 6 sides and 6 angles, and you can see the examples that they give. And then the octagon that we already talked about, I always think an octagon is a stop sign. And that has 8 sides and 8 angles as well. So look down now at your guided practice, okay? And it's showing something that looks, it's showing a street sign that looks like this. Now, first of all, they want to know how many sides does that have? Well, we can easily see 1, 2, 3. So let me show you again. 1, 2, 3. So it has 3 sides. And how many angles does it have? Well, probably 3, but let's check. Okay, here's 1, because it's formed by this and this. 2, formed by this and this. And 3, formed by this and this. So 3 sides, 3 angles. Okay? 3 sides, 3 angles. Go ahead and go to page, the next page, which I believe is 841. 841, and you're going to be doing numbers 2 through 9. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then on page 842, you're going to do numbers 10, 11, and 12. But to get you started, I thought I would do number 2 with you just to make sure you know what you're doing. So this is what your number 2 looks like on the top here. And all you have to do is say how many sides and how many angles. So while I write my answer down, I'm going to give you a minute to figure it out. And then we'll talk about it. Okay, I've got my answer. Is that what you came up with? 8 sides and 8 angles? I hope so. Let's check it out and see how we got it. Let's count our sides first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And let's look at our angles now. Angle 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, you go ahead. It's your turn to finish 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 on that page, and then turn your page over to 842 and do numbers 10, 11, and 12. Good job today, guys. Have a great day.